might call me old-fashioned, but that's okay. Because in reality, everything's old-fashioned. For the new trends that are going on, it's nothing new. There's nothing new under the sun. Maybe we have technology now that can make it more real with operations and things like that, although we don't know for sure that they didn't do that kind of thing back in the old days. But we do know that all the sexual perversity that's going on was going on in the old days. If we look back on history, there's actually a documentary called The History of Sex that they did on PBS or the History Channel, I think it was. And you can see that this isn't anything new. In fact, it can get worse, surprisingly enough. But anyways, I've been noticing, like, since I've been working with young people in the past 3.5 years, anywhere from ages middle school up to 25 or so, college age, that there's just this hardness of heart in people, this lack of love from what I can see. Now, they think that they have love because they talk about how love is equality and anything means love, but it's kind of a surface thing, because really, in reality, when we truly love someone with all our hearts, we can't stand to see them hurt. And if you look at the facts about all of this so-called love that's going on, there's a lot of hurt that goes with it. There's disease, rampant disease. There's women being objectified, beaten, and tortured in pornography. There's all kinds of breakups, constant relationships going back and forth, or lasting a couple years and then moving on to the next person. There's just such a lack of commitment and a disdain for family tradition. And it's just really breaking my heart, because in the end, I know, just like the 60s revolution, that the last couple generations, and maybe the one that's coming forward, is going to look back and say, wow, that didn't work either. But what really surprises me is that they don't do that already. But then again, I remember when I was, say, in my early 20s, I didn't really want to hear anything anybody had to say. Now, I had a rough childhood, so I didn't really have a lot of direction. But I did have a father who tried to teach me what was morally correct. And then I heard all the things from the world, and because I didn't have an ideal childhood, I tended to want to believe the things of the world instead. But something in my heart always drew me back to the truth. And the truth is that family is meant to be family. A man and a woman and children. Or if it's just a man and a woman and they choose not to have children and do something purposeful with their life otherwise, that's fine too. But to do unnatural things that are all about sexuality, that is not a good thing for society. And people can argue all they want, but realistically, it doesn't help society. There's the facts about if a country doesn't have a certain amount of children every generation, that the country can fall apart. That's a true fact, and I don't have all these things to back it up, but I could find them if someone asked me questions, because I know it's the truth. And it's just really, all of this is just really saddening me, because whether you want to believe in God or not, I don't know how anyone could think that we're going in a good direction where we're at. Why is there so much more violence? Why are there so many shootings? Is it really because of guns? We always had guns. Just like money isn't the root of all evil, it's the love of money that's the root of all evil. I just recently watched the Meltdown series about the collapse in 2008, and it was pretty amazing. It's on YouTube if anyone's interested. What I saw in it was the moral side of it. how greed just spreads like wildfire and can start in one place and just spread across the whole world. And people get so caught up in the wind that they don't even maybe realize what they're doing. And it just affects whole communities of people. And in the end, everyone suffers. And that's so what the Bible says, that sin is fun for a while, but in the end, it leads to death. And that's exactly what happens. And our economy is still a mess just because they came up with some new laws to try to fix some of the things that happened back then. There's so much more that needs to be fixed. And speaking of things that need to be fixed, well, we're talking about politics. Families in America, parental issues, parental neglect, all the social media that's going on, and how people are so caught up in it. There was parental neglect when I was growing up, but I still had somewhat of a soft heart in there. Somehow I still knew that morality existed and I should follow it. But nowadays I wonder, with all the things that young people are being drowned with, and then the parents paying more attention to that than they are to their children, and giving their child a piece of technology to keep them busy. And I'm not saying all parents do that, but I worked in the school system and I see what's going on with the drugs. Every child's getting labeled, or so many children are getting labeled with so many different things and put on some sort of drug, sometimes several drugs. I worked in a EBD unit, which is emotional behavior disability, for 5-year-olds to 5th grade, and I was mostly with the 5 and 6-year-olds, and it literally was like a psych ward, and it was really sad because I met the parents, and I know that some of the parents were also on medication, and so the cycle just goes on, and it's being fed by grants that allow for the parents to stay on welfare and then get medication for themselves and then get medication for the children, and then the schools are making money from the having these kids be labeled as a special thing. And I'm sure that a lot of people have good intentions, but it's really a mess. And I can't even imagine what our next generation is going to be like, because you're basically, in my opinion, just creating a bunch of addicts that don't know how to live in the world without medication. And how can that possibly be good for society? I mean, I'm just throwing things out there that I don't understand how everyone's just bought into all of this. And if you don't agree with me, it's fine. But I just want to bring some awareness that there's still some people out there that aren't buying into all of this stuff that's going on, and would like to see a revolution start for change. I liked what I saw in Poland, where they were trying to put sex education into the school system. That was, I don't know if it was as bad as what they're doing in Canada, where they're having children write scenes for porn novels, but whatever it was, Poland was saying, no, it's explicit and we don't want this. We want to stay with traditional families, traditional values, and that's what we want to teach our kids is healthy. We want to put those boundaries around them. We want to teach them abstinence and things like that. They may not do it, but we're going to teach them. This is the best thing for you. So that was great. Hooray to those Polish parents. I applaud you. And then I look at, what else was it that I was just thinking of? Oh, this case with, I forgot her first name, but Mrs. Davis in Kentucky. And this whole thing about her going to jail. And I know this is a really touchy subject, but here's the way I think about it. I'm going to give you 2 scenarios. Okay, so there's a woman who has a job, and she took the job believing that it meant something. It meant that marriage meant between a man and a woman, and she probably loved it. I mean, who wouldn't want to be in the wedding industry? It's a beautiful time to see people united and come together in marriage, the way that the Bible describes it and the way that it's been forever. and hoping that maybe they'll have children, or maybe they'll just be happy together and just love each other till death do us part. This is always the hope. And then all of a sudden they come in and they start changing what marriage means. Now, she's forced to accept that and believe that that's what marriage means when she knows in her heart that's not the truth. That's just not fair. So, if you take another scenario where there's someone who has a job, let's just say a waitress, and they're working in this job, and all of a sudden the owner decides he wants to turn it into a strip bar, and he says, now, in order for you to work here, you need to be a stripper. And so, right, she has a choice to leave or to not leave. So that's one scenario. But let's take it a little bit farther. What if you're in a situation where the business owner is profiting somehow financially, let's say in the financial industry, and all of a sudden he says to his employees, well, profits are down a little bit, so I came up with this new scheme that we're going to do, and we're going to start stealing from our customers, and I expect you to all do that, and if you don't do that, then you're going to lose your job. Okay, well, if they do that, then they could walk away too, but also, what if their job is $100,000 a year and all of a sudden they're put in this position? Are they not eligible for some sort of benefit package or something for them to walk away so that they can walk away and find a new job where they don't have to ruin their moral character and do something that's against what they believe in just to keep a job? I think that, of course, that wouldn't even be allowed in a business because someone could blow the whistle and they'd be shut down and, called on illegal things. Well, what's the difference with what's going on with this case? The government is basically forcing this woman now to do something that's immoral in her eyes, and they're not giving her any benefit package to walk away from the job to find another job. In fact, they're putting her in jail for her beliefs. So what's wrong with that picture? Just saying, I don't want to get political. I don't want to debate, but how can you not debate in this day and time? So I didn't really expect this to go on this long, and I think I'll just cut it off there. But if you have any comments or questions, I'd be happy to answer them. If you want to attack me, that's fine too, because maybe you'll have something to say that I can look at, and if you're not open-minded and you just attack me, it's nothing I'm not used to. So anyways, just a thought about being and staying a little bit old-fashioned in a good way. Have a good day.